Well, hello and welcome, and as always, thank you for
Right,
watching. Today we are.
so I'm just gonna watch this video and offer some thoughts every so often. I watched 12 minutes of this video originally. And I noticed quite a few issues with it. I've liked it to savor, not to support it, and as you can see this comment, I've already pointed something out. But I'll just skim through what I've already seen and comment on it.
Researching and reviewing.
So this is a video on the canonical status of the Servants of the Holy Family Latin Mass community in Colorado Springs. My perspective on it so far is that the local bishop, Bishop Sheridan, God rest his soul, issued a document in about 2013, I believe it was, perhaps earlier, saying that this community was not in good setting with the Diocese or the Universal Church. And this is a video reacting to that document and other such things to see the true, so-called true nature of the document. We'll skim through it. So the video starts with the person involved with this video, showing reviews about how good the community is. I'm not sure what that's relevant to the canonical status, but whatever. I'm sure the Sedevacantists in the Society of St. Pius the Fifth have good reviews as well. That doesn't mean they're canonically regular. Anyway, so his initial point is here.
A yellow flag. Now, what do I mean? Here's what I mean. Let's look at the first two lines. After several attempts to bring the group known as Servants of the Holy Family, illicitly located in Black Forest, Colorado Springs. Now, that just sounds bad. But do you know what illicitly means? Let's take a look. Illicitly means valid but illegal. What? How does that even apply to where somebody lives? If you look it up on the internet, illicitly, it's typically only used when describing the distribution of the sacraments, Holy Eucharist, penance, matrimony, things of that nature. So the question is, honest mistake or purposely crafted?
So, biggest issue with this argument he proposed with this so-called yellow flag is his notion of not understanding why the term illicitly is used in this document. The term illicitly is used to relate to the establishment and the operations of the group within the Diocese of Colorado Springs. It is a valid group in the fact that it has valid ordinations and it celebrates the sacraments and has apostolic succession and whatnot. But it is illicit because it is not in communion with Rome, it is not in communion with the bishop, it has not been done with the authority of the bishop, it has not been done with the authority of any overseas superior. It is simply its own community that's established itself and tacked on the name of the Universal Church. It is, as he said, valid, but illegal. Just going to fast forward again and we'll get to this part.
Let's move on. In the next paragraph, you see the priest Anthony Ward did not enjoy any priestly faculties from the diocesan bishop. Now that is one major statement and accusation. The big problem? It's 100% false. It just takes a little bit of research and looking up at church documents to find out that Father Anthony Ward was ordained overseas and received faculties from his diocesan bishop of Freiburg. So, completely false statement, which raised a red flag for this document. Not only was he ordained, but he received his faculties, what they call usque ad revocationem. It means that he has his priestly faculties until revoked, so that the faculties which are given do not expire after a certain time, but they are perpetual. They're only ending if they're taken back. What basically does that mean? It means that he was ordained, received faculties from his diocesan bishop in Freiburg, and has faculties worldwide, universally. Father Anthony Ward can go anywhere in the world, licitly, not illicitly, live wherever he chooses, because it's a private community, and have valid faculties and offer valid masses.
So, here's my other issue with this segment. Whoever this man is in this video, I don't believe he introduces himself at the start of the video. He does not, I think he purposefully does not clarify or properly explain what the initial statement in the document, which is the initial statement in the document, which is the priest Anthony Ward did not enjoy any priestly faculties from the diocesan bishop. He seems to have conflated that with, the man in the video has seemed to conflated that with the notion of Anthony Ward not being ordained, which is not what is being stated in the document. The document is not saying that he was not ordained. The document is instead saying Anthony Ward, Father Anthony Ward, if you wish to refer to him as that, was not given permission by the Bishop of Colorado Springs, Bishop Sheridan, to operate in the diocese. As a person who lives in this and who established a community in Colorado Springs, who lives in Colorado Springs, who tries to celebrate the sacraments in Colorado Springs, these actions must be approved by the diocesan bishop, which is Bishop Michael Sheridan. So I'm sort of confused at what what he's saying here. I'll look up the usque ad revocationem. Interesting. That's very interesting, actually. The fact that the first group that comes up when you look up usque ad revocationem is the servants of the Holy Family themselves. So, very interesting that where's the first time I mentioned usque? Here it is. So, this is very interesting, actually, because that's sort of contrary to what the video is saying, because this was saying that Father Anthony Ward was given usque ad revocationem faculties back in 74, I believe, when he was ordained. But this is saying that the priestly ordinations were done in 1995, after they were in dubious canonical status. So, very interesting. We'll continue.
So, this revelation, like I said, raised a red flag with this document. So you might be wondering,
You also said yellow
why
flag,
decided
so
to look at this document
regardless.
so closely. When I bet you 99.9% of people that read this document just take it at face value and believe exactly what they're reading. Well, you have to understand, we decided to research and dive into over 300.
So then this gentleman goes into a spiel about how there are terrible, abusive bishops in the church and priests and whatnot. Factually correct, and we share a mutual abhorrence of it. However, then he goes on to he also mentions these statistics about how some poll that apparently Vortex has done, that polled Catholics said that they believe bishops are more concerned about money, and also that some bishops have lost their supernatural faith, which is a very broad question to ask for a poll. It's like saying, do you believe that some people are murderers? Or some people are evil? Or whatever. 94% of people would say, yes, some people are evil. Does that mean a lot of them are? Does that mean that it's an extensive issue? That's not what the question's asking. That's not what it's related to, but regardless.
Now that we kind of put into context why we're looking at this document so closely, frankly, it's because we have a trust issue with the authorities in the church.
Be that as it may, be there corrupt and horrible individuals within the church. They are still your bishops. They are still your priests. They are still your pastors. They are still your cardinals. One cannot, if we are to judge the legitimacy of the actions and orders given unto us by people based on their moral character, no one would listen to anyone. If we're saying that we do not have to listen to the bishop, which is fundamentally incompatible with Catholic doctrine, to say that one should not be obedient to their superiors, fundamentally incompatible with Catholic doctrine. But regardless, actually there is no regardless. That is like the biggest point. You cannot simply just disobey the bishop because, he said one or two things once and I didn't quite agree with it, so therefore I'm just going to do my own thing.
And rightfully so, and as does everybody else. So, after all of this coming to light, and seeing that within just the first 3 sentences of this decree, we see 2 blatant and obvious lies.
The gentleman is not really one to be talking about such moral characters of this document, considering, as we'll find out later, he willfully, I believe, misquotes a news article to further his position.
Or at least falsehoods intended to deceive anybody reading it. Stated that about denying.
And then this gentleman goes on about how he does a background check on Bishop Sheridan to see Bishop Sheridan's moral character. And his first point against Bishop Sheridan is the fact that Bishop Sheridan supported refusing communion to pro-choice politicians. The issue, of course, this gentleman has with it is not that, because any Catholic would agree with that, but rather that Bishop Sheridan backed down when his superiors told him to stop making that political stance. Should he have backed down? Like, doctrinally? Maybe not. Was he told to back down, and was he being a faithful Catholic by listening to his superiors, such as McCarrick, despite how evil McCarrick was? I don't know if he's still alive. He was being obedient. I assume McCarrick was the head of the bishops' conference at this time, or had some considerable sway in the church. So, I suspect that it was simply a matter of obedience, which this gentleman could learn something about.
Publicly support abortion. It was McCarrick who ended up going to the Vatican, receiving instruction in the form of a letter, and coming back to this bishop's meeting and completely twisting what was portrayed to him about this topic.
Believe that and entrusted it was
man, he decided. So that was our first example and our first exposure when we were researching Bishop Sheridan. And as we continue to research,
So his main point there was simply McCarrick gave Bishop Sheridan the order to back down. Bishop Sheridan backed down. McCarrick is evil. Therefore, Bishop Sheridan is morally dubious. Which I would like to say, the allegations against McCarrick came out well after this fact. There probably were rumours about the time, don't get me wrong, but it's very easy to look back 20 years in the past and go, yeah, see, look, this guy was evil. Why didn't they just react this way? It's like looking at Nazi Germany in 1933 and going, well, this Hitler guy was evil, why didn't they stop him? Well, he didn't seem evil at the time. That's simply the fact of the matter. And we continue.
Found just shortly after that, he was also in the news again. This time, Peter Howard, remember him, his personal assistant that stood by and defended his position on the communion issue? Well, this time, Peter Howard was doing an interview, and he publicized and said in the Catholic Herald, which is a newspaper there, the diocesan newspaper there in Colorado, that going to a Protestant service, hear this, Catholics going to a Protestant service on Sunday do not fulfill their Sunday obligation. Kind of Catholic 101, right? You got to go to Mass on Sunday. You have to go to Catholic Mass on Sunday to fulfill your Sunday obligation. Catholicism 101. Apologize.
So here's the other thing. The original, he correctly identifies the original newspaper article that Peter Howard does here. But very interestingly, he sort of blocks this part of the article here, which, as I've written in the comment here, the full quote that is blocked out here is, Howard told the Gazette that Catholics should not attend Protestant worship services even if they also celebrate Catholic Mass, saying such services could confuse some Catholics and their participation denigrates the Catholic faith. What Howard originally was saying in this document here is that Catholics cannot attend Protestant services at all. Not in place of the Sunday obligation, as this guy is framing the issue as, but rather it's an issue of can there be some sort of ecumenical attendance between different religious communities? Peter Howard says no. He's entitled to that opinion. But that is not what Peter Howard is arguing, nor what Bishop Sheridan apologizes for. He's not saying, oh, well, Catholics can go to Protestant churches for their Sunday obligation. Peter Howard is not saying the obvious and saying, oh, Catholics shouldn't go to Protestant services to fulfill their Sunday obligation, because it doesn't fulfill the Sunday obligation. What the controversy is, as I stated, it's the fact that Roman Catholics should avoid Protestant services no matter how good the music is the original quote. The main issue that Bishop Sheridan was apologizing for was the notion that Catholics cannot even glance in a Protestant service's direction. But this video portrays it as, oh well, Peter Howard was saying that Catholics can't attend. Peter Howard said Catholics cannot attend Protestant service to fulfill their Sunday obligation. And then the big bad bishop said, no, Protestant services fulfill your obligation. Don't worry. I'm sorry that he said that. Again, that's not what he said.
For the remarks of his Catholic. While Howard is free to express his opinions as a Catholic layman, anyway, the interview was done without my knowledge or direction and does not represent my thinking on the subject.
Note the title of this column here. Local Catholic Diocese believes in ecumenism. This is not the bishop saying Protestant services fulfill your Sunday obligation. This is the bishop saying, hey, you want to attend a Bible study at, First Methodist Church? Go for it. Oh, there's a worship service at 12 o'clock on Sunday at Pensacola Baptist Church. Pensacola Baptist Church of Colorado Springs is, yeah, you can go to that if you go to Mass. That's what the bishop is saying. He's not saying that you can go to a Protestant service in spite of Mass. He's just saying that you can attend these services if you go to Mass at the same time.
Did I just read that right?
And no, you did not just read that right. The way this gentleman is framing it as a Protestant services fulfill obligation issue, which is not what the controversy is about at all, but regardless.
That's the first thing that came into my mind. A Catholic bishop saying that it doesn't represent his thinking that Catholics need to go to Catholic Mass.
Am I correct in saying that you should remember the 6th commandment? Let me just remember my commandments, see if I got that right. No. Let's see, what is it? It's the 8th, maybe? 8th? Yeah, 8th, yeah. This one. So you should remember the 8th commandment.
At the very least, you're apologizing for your assistant speaking Catholic truth. Do you remember that statistic? 75% of polled Catholics believe that bishops are more concerned with prestige and money than saving souls.
I'd also like to see where this document comes from. He said it says the vortex, but I don't know what the vortex is. I don't know how many people are polled. I don't know where they've been polled. If it's across America wide, if it's across the world, if it's across, I want to know the spread of the demographics. I want to know just more about the survey. And just because people believe this does not mean that that's the case. People are free to believe whatever they so wish, but that doesn't mean it's true. People want to believe that the earth is flat. They can believe that. That doesn't mean it's true. They want to believe that, Muslims want to believe that Allah is the only God, there is no God other than Allah, and Muhammad was the best of his prophets, etc. Muslims are free to believe that. From a Catholic standpoint, that is not true, but they're free to believe that. I would say that 100% of Muslims surveyed would say that, Christianity is in error. That doesn't mean that the Muslims are correct just because 100% of them are saying that on a survey. It just means that that's what they believe.
Well, in my opinion, this falls 100% into that category. Stand up and tell your flock you are supposed to be protecting and guiding the truth, not turn around and apologize for being Catholic. You are the bishop.
So he's doing all this ranting and raving against Bishop Sheridan. Bear in mind, one of the issues that he highlights is the fact that Bishop Sheridan denied pro-choice politicians communion. Yeah. Well, more the fact that he backed down, but regardless, he was being obedient to the bishop. So these are the two biggest bits of dirt that this guy has dug up on Bishop Sheridan, so as to give legitimacy to why they should be skeptical about the document that the Bishop of Colorado Springs has released.
Let's get back now to finish reviewing Servants of the Holy Family and take a closer look at this decree sent from this bishop concerning Servants of the Holy Family. Let's get back into it right now. When we were researching this document, 3 things we were going after. 1, what does it say? 2, is it true? And 3, why was it written?
This is a fundamentally flawed way to view diocesan documents. I'll bring up the document itself. So here's the document itself, the one that he's been quoting from. It's quite well written. It explains the reasons very well. It's a declaration. So it quite frankly says, I declare that the priests Anthony Ward, Michael J. McMahon, Mark A. Violet, Kevin D. Simons, Alan R. Cusera are non-good standing with the diocesan or universal Catholic Church. And it goes on to say that all the sacraments are illicit. And just to clarify, most of the sacraments are illicit, but marriage and penance are invalid. That is not just saying, oh, they can't do that. They have to have our permission to do that. It's saying they cannot do this, no matter what they say. So, his question here, is it true? That's not what this is about. The bishop says it. Therefore, that is what is the case. That does not mean that you cannot, debate the accuracy of the judgment. But the bishop says it. You cannot simply go, oh, well, the bishop says one thing, but I don't like what the bishop says. I'm just going to ignore that. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. We'll continue.
And the answer is no, it's not true. And we did find out, in our opinion, why it was written, and we're going to talk about that. But let's take you to the main point here and why we are officially saying this is false.
I should have stated this in the beginning, but this is an unlisted video, as you can see here. The reason I have access to this video is because the servants of the Holy Family themselves, whoever runs their Instagram account, sent me the link to this video to so-called clear the air about the validity and canonical status of them. Because I questioned whether they were in communion with Rome, and they said that they were. But everything I saw online said otherwise, especially. And when I found this document, and I questioned them on this document, they sent me the link to this video. We'll continue.
It's plain as day as soon as it's explained to you. Of course, like I said, it was very well written and convincing if people don't look into it, which obviously was the intention. So let's go right down to the main point here. So you see that he quotes canon law here, which is the law of the church. He goes, in accordance, now this is important, in accordance with canons 1331, 1364, and 1365. So according to those canons, he goes on and he says, I declare that the priests, and he names all the priests, are not in good standing with the diocesan or universal church. Once again, 100% false.
That's not how this works. You cannot simply, this is not a subjective matter. You cannot go, this is like having two people standing at a bar, and the bartender goes, oh, are you two friends? And then one guy goes, yeah, we are friends. And then the other guy goes, no, we're not friends. We don't know each other. One of them has to be true. And if one person in the two believes that they're not friends, that's simply the truth of the matter. If they are truthfully saying, no, we are not friends, then they're not friends. Simple as that. No matter what the other person claims. You cannot, it's not a subjective thing when a bishop says, these people are not in good standing with the church, either diocesan or universal itself. It's not a subjective matter. It's as it says. The old adage in regards to the Catholic Church that our beloved St. Augustine said is Roma locuta, causa finita est. Rome has spoken, the matter is settled. Rome has spoken, the matter is settled. Perhaps in this situation it should be Colorado Springs has spoken, the matter is settled. But the same notion applies. The bishop has spoken out against the operations of a community in his diocese, which is his right to do as a bishop. That's it.
Service of the Holy Family was founded in 1977, 41 years ago at the time of recording this video. And this is public information. In that time, 41 years, not one case of disciplinary censure, excommunication, when excommunication is the fact of getting kicked out of the church. They're either in the church or you're out of the church.
I'm just gonna quickly find. There was, and again, this is also a bit of an issue. I can't find the part that I was looking for, but this is also an issue. The fact that without the diocesan bishop's knowledge, clerics were ordained by a bishop brought in by Father Ward. Um, he's saying that there was no administrative action done against him, no disciplinary actions. There was a revoking of his faculties here, his celebrate faculties, that is. Not the ability to celebrate Mass, of course, but just that in general. He violated the terms of this Ecclesia Dei agreement.
Period. You're either in communion with Rome or you're not in communion with Rome. That is the Catholic facts. The codes of canon law that he so
Would just like to say I love these transitions.
dramatically and emphatically proclaimed here that this is why he's saying this. Well, 1331, 1364, and 1365. You can look up plain as day right on Google. He probably wasn't expecting anybody to do this. 1331 only deals with people who are excommunicated.
Now, I'm not a canon lawyer, but I believe that this statement here is an excommunication. It does not say excommunication. But to say that these people are not in good standing with the Diocesan or Universal Catholic Church is akin to saying these people are not valid. These people are not licit. These people are not in communion. What do we call someone who is not in communion with the Church? Schismatic? Maybe. Do we call them excommunicated? Yeah. Here we have the word itself, schismatic. Lack of obedience to the Church and its hierarchy. We can clearly see that those who support the servants of the Holy Family are very much lacking obedience, but regardless.
Which they are not. They've been founded in... They're not excommunicated, so 1331 only applies to the people who have been excommunicated. 1364, which he quotes next, or references rather next, only deals, and you can look it up right here, with apostates, heretics, and schismatics.
There it is. What does Bishop Sheridan call the actions done by the servants of the Holy Family? He says, there's been a lack of obedience to the Church and its hierarchy, and that they want, that the bishop wants to resolve this schismatic attitude. The bishop has said himself that these people are undergoing schismatic actions. If they are undergoing schismatic actions, what does that make them? Schismatic. What is being schismatic? What are the consequences for being schismatic under canon law? Canon 1364 says, schismatics incur a latae sentitiae excommunication. So, schismatics are excommunicated. These people are declared to be schismatics by Bishop Sheridan, or at least their actions are schismatic. And only people who are schismatics do schismatic actions, of course. So, these people are latae sentitiae excommunicated. So, if we go back to 1331 here, an excommunicated person is forbidden to have any ministerial part in the celebration of the sacrifice of the Eucharist or any other ceremonies of public worship. So these people are latae sentitiae. How do I keep saying it wrong? Sentitiae excommunicated. Sententiae, whatever. You get the point of what I'm trying to say. My bad Latin pronunciation aside. These people are schismatics. These people are, well, they're undergoing schismatic actions. These people are schismatics. These people are therefore excommunicated. This means if my Latin is correct, this means automatic. Okay. Yes, automatically. So these guys are automatically excommunicated due to their schismatic actions. So let's see his next point.
They are not. And the third one actually made us chuckle a little bit after we did research on this bishop, because 1365 talks about being prohibited of going to non-Catholic religious functions.
I don't know why I'm muting my mic. If someone is non-communion with Rome, as this man correctly pointed out before, one who's non-communion with Rome, you're either in or you're out. If you're non-communion with Rome, as Bishop Sheridan has claimed these people are not, then these people are not Catholics. Therefore, what their worship is non-Catholic. It's Catholic in form and intent, and in ceremony and in missal and in reverence and whatnot. But if they're not with Rome, as this man himself has said, they're not Catholic. So, therefore, their worship, because they're excommunicated, is non-Catholic worship.
Which he publicly...
You can see, I don't mean to be mean to the gentleman, but you can quite clearly see that his mind he's flying by the seat of his pants. He's making, quite frankly, ridiculous claims off the top of his head to try and justify why these people, or why the document undertaken by Bishop Sheridan is flawed or inaccurate or whatever.
He apologized that his aide said that Catholics should go to Mass on Sunday, not Protestants, services, or anything like that. Catholics need to fulfill their obligation at Sunday Mass. So then he apologized. So what is he saying here? Is he the first bishop in the entire world that is saying that the traditional Latin Mass is not Catholic? I don't understand.
You don't understand because you do not wish to understand. It's as he said, you're either with Rome or you're not with Rome. How about we frame it like this, right? There's such a thing as what is called Western Orthodoxy. Western Rite Orthodoxy, which is let's see if we can get a photo of it up here. Here it is. Wow, look, that looks interesting. Looks very familiar. That's almost looks like a Latin Mass. Is that Catholic worship? Of course not, it's Western Rite Orthodoxy. But they're still ad orientem, they're still, I presume they use Latin, perhaps they use vernacular. But the Missal is, quite frankly, well, I don't know if it's correct to call it a Missal because it's Orthodox, but the Missal is based on old Roman missals. So, does that mean that their traditional Latin Mass, their traditional Latin Divine Liturgy, is Catholic because it's, a Latin Mass? Of course not.
Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying that we can go to the Protestant services, we just can't go to this Catholic Mass?
No. Well, Bishop Sheridan is saying that you can go to the sermons of the Holy Family. Bishop Sheridan is saying you can go to the Protestant services, but not to fulfill your Sunday obligation.
So you see here, as soon as you dive in and look at this, it's almost embarrassing. So once again, what we see here is another blatant example of the abuse of power by one in position of authority in the Catholic Church.
That's a non sequitur. I'm seeing a bishop exercising his ability to minister to his flock, to judge and administrate the diocese. This is not what you would call an abuse of power. Just because one disagrees with the outcome the bishop reaches, just because one disagrees with how the bishop runs the diocese, does not make it an abuse of power.
Because under the guise of truth, he gives the appearance and illusion of speaking on behalf of the universal church when he is not. And he knows he's not. He personally attacks and lies.
Sorry, I'm not entirely. If truly Bishop Sheridan is not speaking on behalf of the Universal Church, I don't believe he does know that he's not speaking on behalf of the Church, because he says that he is consulted with the Pontifical Commission Ecclesia Dei, and he himself declares on his own behalf and on behalf of the Church that these people are not in good standing with the Diocesan or Universal Catholic Church. So very clearly, he is doing this on behalf of the Church. At least he believes so.
About this community using this letter. How do I know this? Because it is what he does not say, because he cannot say it. He did not declare this community as excommunicated or schismatic and heretical, etc. All he says is, I don't like them. Where does he say that? Right here. I declare they are not in good standing. Now listen, there is no...
I've done this to death, so you don't need to hear me say that this is simply their way of not so explicitly stating these people are not in good standing with the Catholic Church. The Orthodox are not in good standing with the Catholic Church. Does that mean that they're not excommunicated or they're not schismatics? Of course it doesn't. They're schismatic. You get the point. I've already explained that these guys are schismatics, or at least the document says that they are.
Official definition for that term. Those words never appear in the Code of Canon Law. Not in good standing is nothing more than a made-up term declaring publicly that this bishop does not like this community. Why not? Why doesn't he like them? Well, he actually makes it really clear why. In back-to-back sentences in his document, he references a private letter he received from this community, where he said, they accused me of protecting modernism, ecumenism, religious liberty, and indifference, etc. Which, as we found from our research, is true.
Right. Let's not say that this bishop's dislike of this community has come out of nowhere. In fact, we see that he's been quite tolerant of them here. After Pope Benedict came out with Motu Propriario Summorum Pontificum, he says that Bishop Sheridan says that he went to the servants of the Holy Family and tried to reconcile them with the Universal and Diocesan Church. He visited the community himself, and he was very touched by the faithfulness of the people in the community. And he gave Father Ward and other priests faculties to hear confessions. He got the Pontifical Commission Ecclesia Dei to be a special delegate there. So they convoked a meeting with a few of the people involved with the servants of the Holy Family to outline a canonical, pastoral, and theological itinerary for review and regularization. So basically, the process of bringing them to explicit communion with Rome. And then Father Ward refused to attend the meeting. And he took offence at every attempt to question the theological and canonical basis of his community's activities. He replied to every... So the whole point of what this last part of the letter is referring to is the fact that despite the Universal Church's attempts to explicitly bring this group A into communion and B to clarify its canonical status, if it already is in communion, the community itself refuses to undergo any such process. And so by that matter, and of course the hostile letters that Bishop Sheridan received from Father Ward, and The servants of the Holy Family accused the bishops of lack of obedience to the church, which is interesting because this gentleman here, he's gone apparently. This gentleman here, keeps bringing up that quote. I'm not sure why. He himself is not. He's actually one of his whole arguments is the fact that Bishop Sheridan listened too intently to his superiors, which is kind of funny, but regardless, we'll let him continue speaking.
Church, or they are heretics, or they are schismatics. Like we said, he does not say it because he cannot say it because it is not true. Or they are heretics, or going to Mass on Sunday. So why doesn't he say, I declare this community as excommunicated from the Universal Catholic Church?
Well, he does. He cites canon. Was it 1364? Yeah, 1364. He says that based on canon 1364, he declares that the priests Anthony Ward, Michael J. McMahon, Violet, etc. are non-good standing with the Diocesan or Universal Catholic Church. He says here he justifies this with the schismatic attitude that they undergo, and they're misleading their communities and whatnot. So, excommunicated. So this is saying, this in conjunction with this is saying that they're excommunicated. And this is also, this is saying that excommunicated people cannot celebrate the Eucharist. And this 1365 was about obedience? No, it was about attending non-Catholic services. So, again, if they're excommunicated, and they cannot legally celebrate the Eucharist, and if they're not in communion with Rome, they're not Catholic. If they're not Catholic, 1365 applies to them.
Or they are heretics, or they are schismatics. Like we said, he does not say it because he...
Except, he, as I just said, he does say it.
Cannot say it because it is not true. He threw together an official-looking document, quotes fancy canon laws, none of which apply, knowing that the laity and people reading it, like me and you, will not look up and look into this. They will just inherently trust him because he is a bishop.
Wow, that's a novel idea. People listening to their bishop. If only more people were like the faithful within the Diocese of Colorado Springs.
Hence, the abuse of power by one in position. So we see this document for what it is. It is a personal attack which he uses his position and rank in the church to carry out his own personal vendetta, which has to be morally wrong. But anyway, how can we verify this? It's quite simple, really. We don't have to. Other good bishops already have verified it for us. It displays openly, right on Servants of the Holy Family's website, that many bishops from all over support their community, even to the point of personally going there, performing the sacrament of confirmation on faithful Catholics who attend Mass there, because a local bishop refuses to do it, which is his job, and also ordaining the seminarians who are ready for the priesthood, and so on. Now, do you really think, if any part of this document was actually true, that any bishop anywhere would support them at all? Much less go so much out of their way to support them? Well, of course they wouldn't.
Notice how this website says it all. So, when it comes to the legal issues within the church, it names the bishops who are appointed to represent them. These are people within the Universal Catholic Church, the Universal Church, within the Catholic Church, who are in standing with Rome, i.e. they're not schismatic, they're not SSPX, of course. So you've got stuff like Dario Cardinal Castrion Hoyos, president of Ecclesia Dei, does stuff. and all that stuff, everything, right? But if you notice, when it comes to the bishops that support the community, look at the way they word it. Confirmation ceremony by bi-ritual Eastern Rite Metropolitan. Which one? Why don't you name them? Confirmation ceremony by Religious Order, Asian Ordinary. Religious Order, North American Ordinary. Retired Asian Ordinary. Northern American Ordinary. Auxiliary of Asian Archdiocese. Which ones? Why don't you name them? That's my big issue right now, because they could be legitimate Catholic bishops, but there's two reasons I see them not being named. One, they're members of the SSPX or other canonically irregular groups. Read that or hear that and listen to that canonically irregular as schismatic. No matter what the SSPX likes to think, they are schismatic, unfortunately. Or two, these actions undertaken by these bishops would be detrimental to their reputation to have publicly attached their support for this group. If that's the case, why are they being so secretive about it? What's the point of blocking it if these guys are canonically in communion with Rome and the bishops support them and everything? If there's nothing wrong with their group, why are they hiding the names of these people these bishops especially, who support them?
So the answer is obvious. In researching this document, we identified it as false, to put it nicely. And people way smarter than us in these matters, other bishops, other good bishops from all over.
Again, we don't know who these bishops are. We cannot say whether they're good or bad, regardless.
Confirm it by the powerful fact that they stand by this community and give them their...
It says right here at the top, unless publicized elsewhere and so named below, we respect the confidentiality and privacy of the bishops who assist us, and so refrain from listing their names. Why? If they've nothing to hide, then why are you hiding? If there's nothing irregular or wrong about these ordinations and administrative duties undertaken by these bishops, why are their names hidden for privacy? Privacy from what? From doing their jobs as bishops? If I look at any community right now, if I bring up the FSSP, Fraternity of St. Peter, the Priestly Fraternity of St. Peter, I'm going to find out, for, say, the priests in Lewisham in Sydney. I can look at the priest's name, I can find out who ordained the priest, I can find out who ordained him, I can find out who ordained the one before, the one before, the one before. With this group, I cannot see that. All it says is vague indications. Oh yeah, they're from somewhere in this region, a diocese somewhere in this region. Like, it says entire continents. It's not even like a Chinese diocese or a Filipino diocese or a Japanese diocese or a Canadian or American or Texan or whatever. All it says is a North American or an Asian diocese. That's a very broad range. Asia goes as far to the Middle East. It could be a Chaldean bishop. Chaldean, that's the word I'm looking for. It could be a Latin Rite priest from Jerusalem. Or it could be someone from Hiroshima. We don't know. And they're not going to tell us, for so-called privacy reasons.
Ongoing support. Now, we are actually going to conclude our research and review of Servants of the Holy Family by staying on their website. Why? Because, of course, you can go Google Servants of the Holy Family and see all of the amazing positive reviews that they have associated to their community. And, of course,
again, I'm sure the SSPV has amazing positive reviews. I'm sure that Orthodox churches have amazing positive reviews. That doesn't mean shit in regards to their legality or canonical status.
course, it being the internet, you'll come
Furthermore, in terms of Catholic groups, I'm sure that I shouldn't say Catholic, but Catholic-esque groups, I'm sure that the Palmarians have wonderful reviews from their members. But they're not Catholic. It doesn't matter.
across occasionally the far left and weird comments or whatever, but it being the internet and you being you, I'm sure that you can decipher truth from fiction, especially after this review. But we are on here on their website now where we are going to show you something that you cannot find on the internet, and that is an inside look of their members area and web mass and the liturgical content. Life are the most recent sermons. You can show you now an inside look. Doing this in-depth research and review. You can see the traditional.
Okay, the rest was just like an ad for the Service of the Holy Family. Sure, whatever. So we'll just look at Service of the Holy Family right now. We'll just quick flick through. The easiest way to find out whether a community is in communion with Rome, there are two ways. One, you look up the community. Let's see, FSSP. Let's see, .org. Let's see. Are these guys in communion with Rome? Let's see. Well, it says there, but you say we didn't see that. Let's see. The priestly fraternity of St. Peter is a society of apostolic life in the pontifical Rome, that is a community of priests who do not take religious vows but work together for common mission in the Catholic Church under the authority of the Holy See. Here's them meeting Pope Francis, mourning the death of Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, etc. So we can see pretty clearly, yes, these guys are in communion with Rome. Awesome. What about SSPX Australia? We'll look at these guys up. Are these guys in communion with Rome? Are they canonically regular with Rome? About. History is associated. It was established by Lefebvre. Blah blah blah. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything about it being in communion with Rome. Let's look at these locations. Maybe they just forgot to mention it. Let's look at these their locations. Let's see. We've got SSPX locations all over. Let's say Brisbane, for instance. St. Philomena's School and Our Lady of Lourdes Church. Our Lady of Lourdes Church. These guys in communion with Rome. We'll look at their website and we'll look at. Oh, does that just take me to the SSP? Thanks, that's wonderful. Anyway, so Our Lady of Lourdes at, where was it? So, Our Lady of Lourdes, quadruple 1 Oxley Road. Okay. So now we go to the Diocese website, and let's find a mass. We'll say 50-kilometer radius. So what was their postcode? It was 4075. Let's see all the masses within. We'll go within 10 kilometers of this postcode. On a Sunday. Any language. And we'll see how many masses show up. And we'll see if this church shows up. There's St. Joseph's Corinda on Oxley Road. And that appears to be it. It's not looking good for the SSPX. So the official website of the Diocese does not mention them. Therefore, you can easily figure out that these guys are not in communion with Rome. But maybe, for the sake of the argument, maybe the Archdiocese of Brisbane or Archdiocesan websites do not mention Latin Masses. Maybe they don't mention the Latin Masses. Let's look this up. Let's go 30-kilometer radius. Same postcode. What was it? 4075. Yeah, same postcode. Let's look this up. Same date. any language. 30 results. Let's see. See if any churches show up. Oh, here's Mary Immaculate Church, Annerley. Oh, there's an extraordinary full mass. Extraordinary full mass, Vespers, Benediction, Novus Ordo, etc. So, no, Latin masses show up on this website. So, what am I getting at here? Right. Servants of the Holy Family, they are located in Colorado Springs, USA, right? I believe. We can, if we want clarification, we'll see this. Colorado Springs, beautiful. Okay. No, I don't want that. I want just the website for the Diocese of Colorado Springs. Let's find mass times. All right. Let's see if this community shows up on their website. About parishes and masses, mass times. Let's see, whereabouts are you guys? Contact and directions. You can find the suburb in Colorado Springs, of course. Colorado Springs, Kenosha Drive, Colorado, whatever. Let's see if this shows up. 8528 Kenosha Drive. Perhaps it's just DR. DR? Yeah, DR. No results, unfortunately. Let's see if there's anything else on Kenosha Drive. Maybe they got the address wrong. No, it doesn't mention it. So what about this? Masses in other languages. Traditional Latin Mass. Oh, look, there's Latin Mass communities that show up here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 communities in Colorado Springs Diocese. So, I think it's time we consider that this community is not in good standing with the diocesan church. It's not in good standing with the universal church. It is therefore schismatic. It is disobedient, therefore it's schismatic. Yeah. There's nothing else to be said. It quite frankly is a schismatic church. It is not a Catholic church. It is not in communion with Rome. And the reason why I'm even arguing this case is because, as I said earlier, the community itself has spoken with me. My comments, and we'll go to here. I love it when Instagram works. I'd appreciate if Instagram worked, but you know, whatever. Here we go. Cool. This is their Instagram account, I assume, unless it's just some random guys that champion their cause, which perhaps it is, but regardless. If I visit Colorado, they don't follow. An interesting thing is when you get to parish churches, for instance, like we'll look up the Brisbane Oratory. So the Latin Mass community in one of the Latin Mass communities in my diocese. We look at their following. They're following Evangelization Brisbane, Archdiocese of Brisbane, the Cathedral, all these things affiliated with the diocese itself, and other oratories in communion with Rome. So that itself, I know it's an Instagram account. Maybe they just forgot to follow it, but you get the idea. They're very much not likely to be in communion with Rome. But the reason my entire interest in this community started is because I responded to this person, and I said, these people are not in communion with Rome. And then the account itself responded, they are in communion with Rome. And I said, they're in communion with Pope Francis. And they said, yes, they're in communion with Rome. So of course they're in communion with Pope Francis. I referenced the document by Sheridan, and they sent me the link. And they phrase it like this: there are no documents of excommunication. It is not what you suggest. What does it mean then? Here's a video that someone made about it. It's interesting that they have that on hand, the video that we just reacted to, but regardless, that's what they want, that's what they mean. Anyway, my entire thing here is A, they're schismatic, B, they're not in communion with Rome, obviously, they're schismatic, and C, as much as they'd like to deny it, the facts are facts. And also, if you're in Colorado Springs, check out these places. I can't speak to their reverence, but it's FSSP. They're pretty good normally. Again, Latin Mass community. First thing they say, FSSP in the Diocese of Colorado Springs. Every parish website you view, if they do not say, we are in the Diocese of blah, 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 you need to really scrutinize the legitimacy of that. Sometimes they'll forget, but not often. But yeah, just check these guys out, obviously. If you want a Latin Mass and you're in Colorado Springs, don't go to the Servants of the Holy Family. Do not put your soul at jeopardy because you wish to be at a quirky church. Anyway, thanks for watching.